If we promote ourselves as a free and fair society, is it fair to have only the rich pay the federal income tax where everybody else does not? I think that is a fair question, especially because of the promises that President Trump made on the campaign trail. Welcome back to another episode of Archie's Briefings, you guys. We're going to talk about this because I've had some opinions as it relates to this particular tax idea that he had of eliminating the federal income tax. I'm for it. It's a question of whether or not this is actually possible and pulling off in the route that he's trying to get this done. So let's talk about this because I do think it's quite fascinating, interesting, and I'm going to play you guys a couple of clips just so we can have a further discussion about this. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the elimination of the federal income tax and whether or not that is possible. Let's go ahead and let's do that, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I'm not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
All right, you guys. So as I said in the open, we're going to talk about this whole plan, right? From the tariffs to the tax cuts, how this is going to fund this, all the tariff revenue that President Trump is seeing or would like to see come in, how this is going to fund the elimination of the federal income tax. Now, you guys, love the whole tariff situation. Love the tariff negotiations. I thought it was great. He utilized the leverage, the fact that the American people are the greatest consumers on the face of the earth. He used that as leverage to force these countries into negotiations over the tariffs. He managed to have conversations with Italy. We saw the prime minister here. He had a conversation with the UK and sealed the deal with the UK. And he's also got China. The left are losing their minds over this. I found this to be quite interesting. Honestly, I could have sworn he was going to get the EU to seal the deal before China. That's a side note. I'm kind of stunned at that. But the fact that China did agree to a deal, they're still suspicious. This is just them playing nice. Eventually, they're going to come back and do something ridiculous. That's just who they are. That's the Chinese. Okay. But I do think that you're going to see a lot more people, a lot more countries get involved in sealed deals. So we're going to see that tariff revenue come in. The question is the tariff revenue going to be enough to fund the elimination of the federal income tax? You hear the Democrats say the Republicans want to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare. The Republicans want to get rid of Social Security. We want to get rid of welfare, the Department of Education, the IRS. All this is true. Again, Project 25. That's who you're looking at here. I support Project 25. There's only one thing I did not like, and that was the death penalty part. But as it relates to cutting all these things and shrinking the government down to size, I was for that. Now, the question is, can we get to that where we eliminate all of the income tax, the federal income tax for all tax-paying, hardworking citizens by not eliminating these socialist-like programs and by bringing in all of this tariff revenue? Frankly, when you look at the numbers, you can see that's just not the case. Now Republicans are talking about making cuts into Medicaid and Medicare. We obviously talked about in the previous episode, you guys, that President Trump is willing to cut over $30 billion as it relates to housing and Section 8, which I absolutely love. 40% of that's going to be coming out of there. They want to make cuts into Medicare. And frankly, is that going to be enough along with the tariff revenue? Now, I'm going to show you guys a clip where it's like a news clip, really, where Trump says on the tarmac in New Jersey what he thinks tariffs are going to do. And then it goes on to talking about his truth, where he said who's going to benefit first from this policy. So without me giving too much of my opinion, let's go ahead and let's run that clip first. And then I'll give you what I think. So let's do that first, shall we? Okay, guys, so this is a short clip. The angle of this is not so great. The National Desk, made it fit the short format, YouTube shorts. So it's kind of really zoomed in on his face. But let's go ahead and let's run it, shall we?
Taking in a tremendous amount of money. We're going to be taking in a lot of jobs, a lot of plants and factories. They're already coming. I mean, you see it. And we're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to cut taxes for the people of this country. It'll take a little while before we do that. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be cutting taxes. And it's possible we'll do a complete tax cut because I think the tariffs will be enough to cut all of the income tax.
Over the weekend, Trump posted online, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated.
Okay.
Focus will be on people making less than $200,000.
Okay, so I just went black a little bit, but that's okay. I'll read it from here, you guys. Okay, so what does this say here? When tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on people making less than $200,000 a year. Also, massive numbers of jobs are already being created with new plants and factories currently being built or planned. it will be a bonanza for America. The External Revenue Service is happening. Okay, a few things before I go into other things, other clips. Let's start with this truth that he has here, okay? Love the idea that we're bringing in all these jobs. Love the idea that we're going to have job training to get the American people ready for these jobs. The idea of the External Revenue Service is amazing because then we might be able to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service, taxing the heck out of the citizens rather than getting the income and the revenue from other countries. You want access to the most powerful consumption on the face of the earth, you're going to have to pay for that value. You're going to pay for it, which I absolutely love that he's trying to do. Now, this part here where it says focus will be on people making less than $200,000 a year. That's obviously the middle class. Love that he wants to focus on the middle class. These policies, the America First economic plan is about galvanizing the middle class. With that being said, however, I do not support the idea of completely eliminating taxes for people who only make less than $200,000. It is not fair to people like Kevin O'Leary. I would benefit from that bill. Well, let's just be clear. Let me just be transparent here. I would benefit from a bill like this. I know a lot of people who would benefit from a bill like this, but we promote ourselves as a free and fair society. The creature from Jekyll Island is either something we get rid of, where no American citizen has to deal with said beast, or we all deal with said beast. If you're saying that the tariffs that are going to be coming in, that the money, the revenue coming in is only going to allow people who make less than $200,000 a year to not pay any kind of income tax, that is not fair to the people who make more than that. It was a long-winded way, really, of saying tax the rich. You promised you wouldn't increase taxes on the rich. You're saying you're going to reduce taxes for everybody. What is fair for all tax-paying citizens? What's fair, in my opinion, is a flat tax. I do not believe from the numbers, you guys, without eliminating all of these programs of the federal government, I do not believe that without eliminating Social Security, Medicaid and Medicare, the IRS, the Department of Education, that if we do not shrink this government down to size, coupled with the tariff revenue, I don't think we're going to be able to fund the federal income tax. And I do not support the idea of only taxing the rich. The issue here, however, is that by only taxing those who make more than $200,000, you end up creating a class war. Those who make more than this are going to feel a kind of way, and those who don't make that number are going to deliberately keep themselves from making this number. Well, the second I make $200,000 is the second I got to contend with the creature from Jekyll Island. That is the taxes. That's the income tax. I don't find that to be fair. Okay, we are a free and fair society. Okay. We either all deal with the creature or none of us do. Why are you punishing the person who made really good financial decisions and built business and innovated? Why are you punishing them? So only those who did exponentially well are going to have to contend with the beast? Why is that fair? It's not. It's really not. Okay. Again, I'm someone who would benefit from this. Okay. I know a lot of people, my family included, we would all benefit from this, but it's not about doing what's best for just the majority. It's about doing what is right for the American people. Okay. The rich are just as American as the low earner. Okay. Kevin O'Leary is just as American as I am. And if he has to contend with this creature, then so must I. And if I don't have to deal with it, then neither should he. The idea is to cut federal income taxes for all tax-paying citizens. If you cannot do that, then you're going to have to make a concession. I'm going to come out of this clip, you guys. Okay, guys, so you saw that, you heard that. You saw the clip of President Trump saying that he thinks because of the tariff revenue that we're going to be receiving, he has made deals, right? He's made deals with China. I was surprised that he got that before the EU. He's got deals with the UK. That was also fantastic. He's making deals across the board. People are negotiating. They're signing deals. We're going to get this tariff revenue coming in. The External Revenue Service is going to be coming back. Very excited to see how this is going to bolster our economy. Already jobs and businesses are coming in. People are getting trained. Secretary of Commerce and Education are working together to build job course training for people so they can go out there and take these jobs, looking at salary starting at $80,000 or higher. I mean, it's amazing. It's going to be fantastic. I'm very excited for this, you guys. I was excited when he came out with the tariff plan. Very excited when he did the pause. Very excited to see all of those deals came in. You guys, day one, after the man took the oath, he saw trillions of dollars of investment, still seeing more investment, still seeing businesses come in. China has kind of sort of folded. I'm expecting some side dealings with China, but you're seeing things happen here. And I think that's amazing. It's a question of whether or not the revenue from the tariffs are going to be enough to cut the federal income tax. Okay. I do not think that is the case. And I do not think that by putting taxes on the rich and not taxing people who make less than $200,000 is fair. And we celebrate ourselves as a free and fair society. This is not fair. And I'm not the only person who thinks this. So it is our dear friend, Kevin O'Leary. So let's go ahead and let's pull up that clip, and then we'll sum this whole thing up for you guys. Let's go ahead and let's do that next, shall we? Okay, guys. So this is Kevin O'Leary on Fox Business here, and they were talking about the tariffs supposedly trying to plan this. So this is what it says at the top. O'Leary warns Trump's income tax plan could cause class warfare. What I say? Let's go ahead and let's run it.
Work to make things here in the U.S., but I didn't mean to
I'm
interrupt
concerned about what I would call class warfare. When you take a huge segment of society and say, you don't have to pay tax, we're going to put that burden on either tariffs or the rest of the population here. Very uncool, because all of a sudden, you're not contributing. You're not helping anybody out. You're not paying any tax whatsoever. I'd rather just see a flat tax of 19% or whatever it's got to be, and everybody pays it. It's not right. And tariffs, by the way, should be strategic. Not every country.
I'm gonna leave it there because he goes into the tariff thing. He doesn't think we should be putting tariffs on even our allies. And you guys know I had a whole episode talking about tariffs. I'm sorry, but the people that say they are our friends, Japan, they say they are our friends, but they had a 700% tariff on rice. Australia is a friend, but they would not give us access to their markets as it relates to beef. But you can bring that stuff here. We have all these Volkswagens and all these foreign cars coming into the country, but we are not allowed to ship our cars over to the UK, over to the EU. But you are our friends. Canada, another one. Are you kidding me? They are not our friends. I'm for the tariffs. That's a side note. Let's talk about what he was saying about this creating a class warfare. All you're going to do is create animosities between people who are rich and those who would like to be rich. People who make less than $200,000 are going to find themselves at conflict with people like Kevin O'Leary and even the millionaires, right? You're going to have yourselves in those issues simply because of the tax policy. This is not an economic plan that unites the American people, okay? You will unite the middle class, yes, but you'll be uniting the middle class against the upper class, and that's not how this should be. Really, this should be about uniting people, galvanizing people to take on more responsibility, to go out there and get these high earning jobs, to do as well as they see fit, to define what success is for them. Okay. If it's going out there and making millions, they should have that ability without the fear of being overtaxed. Okay. Now, I agree with the flat tax rate as it relates to what Kevin O'Leary is saying. 19% is too high. Our founders went to war for less. Let us be clear. 19% is too high. I'm okay with the 5 to 10% flat tax rate. I think everybody could pay that. If you make $25,000 a year and the flat tax is 10%, what is that number? Everybody pays 10%, but the dollar value is different. So from the person who makes $25,000 a year to the person who makes $200,000 to the person who makes $10 million a year, everybody pays 10%. Okay, that is fair. It is the dollar amount that is different. And that's okay. That is taking into consideration the different choices and the lifestyles of the individuals. Okay. I like that. It's acknowledging individuality while providing fairness, which is the goal. That's what the policy should do. You either eliminate the income tax altogether, okay, or you have everybody pay a flat tax rate. That I am for. I'm going to come out of this, you guys, and then we're going to sum this whole thing up. Okay, let's do that. Okay, guys, so you saw that, you heard that, you saw what you heard with the Trump video, and you saw the truth that he put out, the idea that the tariffs are going to bring in jobs. They have, that they're building factories and building plants, and people are getting ready for these jobs, and we're excited to see the job creation. We did see the jobs report for April, and he brought in over 170,000 jobs. We're talking about salaries. They're going to be starting anywhere. Secretary Lutnick says anywhere between 100 to 125,000. If I'm looking at this realistically, I'm going to say 80,000 to hire. I think that's fantastic. Starting salaries at 80,000. That's amazing. Already you're seeing Gen Zers go for trade and not debt for college degrees. I mean, this is getting exciting. I mean, this is an amazing economic plan. It's a regalvanizing of the middle class. What I do not support, however, is only taxing people who make over $200,000. That is not fair. If we are a free and fair society, then either none of us deal with the creature from Jekyll Island, or we all deal with the creature from Jekyll Island. President Trump is trying to find a route to eliminating this federal income tax without eliminating the socialist programs like Social Security, like Medicaid and Medicare. Okay, we're talking about the welfare state. the Section 8, all of it. Now he's cutting percentages, right? 40% of Section 8. We're talking about $30 billion, a little more than $30 billion, right? Cutting food stamps, making sure that only those who are in need are getting it. Is it going to be enough without going that route? Project 2025, and there was a lot of people that were involved in this, okay, from the Heritage Foundation and others. We're talking a lot of brains went into this, okay? I'm not convinced that they did not look at these numbers and say to themselves, the only way that we are going to be able to eliminate the federal income tax, the most egregious policy that this country has ever passed in its history, okay? The most egregious, the most abominable, is that federal income tax along with the Federal Reserve. Both of these things need to go. He obviously wants to get rid of the federal income tax. He wants to do what's best for the middle class. And he's trying to find a way of pulling that off. I agree with Kevin O'Leary. I do not believe this is it. I do not believe that eliminating the federal income tax for those who make less than $200,000 is the best way to do this. You would have broken your promise that you made on the campaign trail, Mr. President, that you would not tax the rich, and that's exactly what you would be doing. That we promote ourselves as a free and fair society, and this is not fairness. This is unfair, and we're just justifying it because the majority of the people would benefit from this. Okay, we're justifying the unfairness, and this is not what we believe in as America first. I believe that there's a concession that has to be made. If we are not going to eliminate all the socialist programs in America, then we are going to have to contend with the taxes. That's it. That's my opinion. And I think we're going to have to just deal with a flat tax rate. I don't agree with that 19%. That is too high. Okay. The founders went to war with the British over less. Okay. 5 to 10%. I'm okay with the 10% flat tax rate. These were the numbers that Ted Cruz brought up a couple of years ago. A 10% flat tax. Doesn't matter if you make $25,000 or if you're making $25 million a year. Everybody pays 10% taxes. That is fair. That is what we're about. I love the economic plan. I just don't like this. I do not believe that we should be having our fellow Americans contend with the creature while the rest of us don't, because we don't make the same numbers. I just don't think that's a good idea. Not only is it not fair, but I do think it's going to incentivize people to making decisions to keep them from making a certain amount. We already see that with the welfare state. That if you tell them that if they make a certain amount that they're going to have to suffer a consequence, well, the consequence would be dealing with the creature from Jekyll Island. They will deliberately choose not to make more than $200,000 because why? The second I do, you're going to tax me. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. You guys let me know in the comment sections because love everything else about this policy. I do not like that. And I just think a concession has to be made here. Do you think that? Let me know in the comment sections. You guys can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. I did not say that in the last episode, so go ahead, subscribe, share, like, all of it. You can also support the show by cash apping me at #OurShellBranch. And, let's see how this plays out. They're talking about one big, beautiful bill. It's a huge conversation. Very excited, you guys, but also a bit weary. We can love President Trump and also question him. That's what it means to be American. I love that. Get in the comments. Love you guys. Talk to you later. God bless and Kepler.